We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully, your day is going well. It is Friday. We had Old Soul yesterday to keep everything on track. We have Will with us today, and Will comes in most times hot, and I appreciate that. It's good to have some uh, passion behind what we're talking about here because it's
Yeah.
getting so dangerous and so egregious. Uh, we've got to have strong people pushing forward. So, Will, welcome back. And I know you got a lot of stuff on your mind tonight.
I mean, it's been a weird few days through all this. I mean, we have to start. I mean, this basically started with the 100-day celebration. Let's
Right.
face it, he celebrated whatever. And the thing about it is, as I said in the video, it's just, I mean, the Michigan rally was lie after lie after lie. Same basically election bullshit he sold.
Yeah,
But the
pretty
thing
much.
about it is, everyone keeps, they're saying he was the most successful 100 days. Do you know how many actual bills he signed on his desk in 100 days?
I do.
Actually passed through Congress. How many?
Five.
Five. Do they have anything to do with the U.S. and anything? No, they were mostly cultural bullshit, if I'm
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and he's been just doing his thing through edict. It's not even an executive order. Let's be honest. These are not executive orders. These are edicts.
Yeah, pretty
These are
much.
edicts written by a man who thinks he's king. And he loves doing that because the Project 2025 scumbags around him present him in that nice blue folder, tell him what it is, and he's all smiling every time to sign them. And he doesn't really give a shit what they're signing. He just likes the pomp and circumstance that come with
Oh, yeah.
this.
Yeah, I think, we've talked about it before. Um, there is no way that executive orders are law. He can't pass law. That has to be passed in Congress. We look at the number of bills he's done, and it's kind of what we talked about before. If you remember back to the first term, he doesn't get much accomplished because he has no clue what he's doing. He seems totally lost in the entire process. I mean, he's
Well,
not even close to know what's going on.
it's things that the process is designed unlike, and I want to explain this to MAGA again, and a lot of Republicans, and especially the Republican Congress. The system is designed for people for each three branches to cooperate, and one of them to say no if one oversteps. That was design of the forefathers.
Right.
Why? Because they got fucked over by a king. They didn't want that to happen here in the United States. They fought over a monarchy in the Constitutional Convention. Some of them wanted a monarchy. They wanted something like a monarchy, but they fought over it. And they came up with this imperfect system and I think best illustrated in the play Hamilton when he's telling Burr to support it. Burr says it's not perfect. He goes, then we amend it. Then we amend it. That's what our system is designed to do.
Right.
This is the first president who is taking the idea of presidency to being a monarch, and his party that put him there support him because they don't want to do the work of governing. Understand, Congress doesn't want to do the work of governing. They just want to pontificate about bullshit
Right.
and culture wars. Or the worst thing I saw in the last 100 days was Stephen Miller got up at the press room today. Did you see that
No.
abortion? He sounded like a Nazi,
Yeah.
and just we're
He
preaching.
looks like one.
We're going to preach American values. Kids are going to learn American. They're going to learn not to hate themselves. There's not going to be any racism in school taught in schools. You mean history, right? And he kept using the word communism, communism, Yeah, the Nazis used the word communism too to justify what they did. And I heard that. And I'm listening to his tone, and the only thing missing was the jackboots and the black uniform and the helmet, the hat with the skull head on it. Because if you're thinking why the cruelty is going on with ICE, look at that man. Him and Tom Hoffman are behind this. And it feeds Trump's cruelty because Trump loves pain if it's somebody else's pain.
Well,
And that's what we're fighting, that. Trump is one thing. That's the problem we have more than anything right now.
You know, when you talked about Hamilton and when we were looking at the start of this country and the Constitution and all of that shit, the Declaration of Independence, um, it's interesting. Washington is said to be our first president. They wanted him to be a king-like figure. And
Mm-hmm.
Washington said, no, I'm not going to do that. And after 2 terms, he said, I've had enough. Can you imagine what would have happened where we might have been if Donald Trump had been back there in those days? He said, sure, make me fucking king. Give me every power. But Washington didn't do that. Now he's trying to change history in the ways he's doing it. Fortunately, he's not doing a very good job of it because he's so incompetent.
Yeah, you have to. If you have not seen the video or the play Hamilton the musical, please watch it. Only in the sense that it's on Disney Plus. It's worth your watch because it's an excellent telling of history by people who look like us now,
Yeah.
what they were thinking and doing. But the part about Washington giving up power is an unbelievable, powerful piece
Yeah.
because in the song is the actual words of Trump of Washington's farewell speech, verbatim, said during the number. Because you can't go over those words. They're deep and they've carried for close to 250 years. But we got one dumbass now in the White House who only cares about himself and people around him who have perverted everything the forefathers have had worked for. Because trust me, those people would have been run out on the rail as traitors by
Yeah.
the original forefathers,
I mean,
especially the
if you question whether or not Donald Trump wants to be a fascist and whether or not it's all about him, I don't know if you read this article, but Donald Trump has been talking about this parade, this celebration for his birthday,
again.
like his birthday matters. Yeah, yeah, and I got some specifics from it too. This parade would involve 6,600 military people. It would involve 150 military vehicles, 50 helicopters, and a few thousand citizens. That's what he's planning for it. I mean, we talk about government waste. We talking about wasting money. It apparently isn't a waste to him when he wants to put on this little dog and pony show for himself, for a guy who's been nothing but a failure since he got back into office, the greatest failure in the history of presidents. And now he wants us to celebrate that motherfucker about it.
Well, I mean, he's having another golf weekend
Of
starting.
course.
That's going to cost us more money. And here's the thing: there are storms moving across the Midwest again,
Yeah.
and and states have asked for help, and they're saying there's no money for help. There's no FEMA money anymore. Where the
Right.
fuck's the FEMA money? Where'd it go? It wasn't spent by Biden.
No.
Where's the money? And again, it comes down: where's the money? Where does all this money disappear to? Where's the savings? But you want to, what is that going to be? What, 100? How much does that cost? 60, 70, 80 million American dollars for that?
Something like that. Yeah.
Why?
Something
I
like
mean,
that.
I mean, he doesn't care about the fucking military or the soldiers. He doesn't. But he just likes to be in his little toys. And if you're a military member and want to do that, man, you got to talk about yourself maybe leaving because that's insane. That's insane. I mean, that's not a birthday party. It's not for a president. It's like happy birthday. He's not your fucking king. He's a public servant,
Yeah.
a public fucking servant. And secondly, and I just did a video a minute ago about it. I saw that thing that Lindsey Graham did about naming Trump Pope. Did you see that bullshit? Okay. You know, you and
Yeah.
I worked in businesses. No one likes to kiss ass.
No,
No one.
absolutely not.
But Lindsey Graham takes it to levels that even someone who's a kiss ass would go, "Oh, that's not me." I mean, that's ridiculous. But it was ridiculous, and I don't want to bring it up. But the one thing that hit me though, it actually touches on the core of the problem with Trumpism that a lot of us don't realize, and a lot of Republicans don't. They don't see Trump as a political figure. They see Trump as a religious figure. He is their God.
A
He can
deity.
do no wrong. A deity. Um, that's why anything he says will go. That's what he says is going to be fine. That's right. The Lord and Savior Trump has said it's going to be okay. That's why evangelicals follow him, because it's easier than following Christ, because Christ demands you to work at it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Yeah, you've
Do
got to
stuff
do
you
some
don't
stuff.
like to do.
Yeah, but Trump doesn't. All he wants is their loyalty and love. I mean, the person he has in this faith office in the White House is a disgusting evangelical I've seen, who makes millions off of followers and is not a person of God. Pope
No.
Francis was. She is not. And the thing I said, if you're going to violate the Constitution, I just one question: where is the Muslim representative? Where is
Yeah.
the Buddhist representative? I mean, where is the Jewish representative?
They don't
Uh,
recognize that though. They don't. They see that all as lesser
but
than or phony
but they're
compared
not.
to their God and their religion.
But see, the religion is Trumpism, and
Right.
that's the hardest thing. You can't shake this devotion, because we all know what's about to happen in about 3 4 weeks, and I everyone fears for their family. There will be empty shelves. There will be problems on the supply chain, but people will die in dirt still worshiping Trump to save them. I mean, honestly, I mean,
Yeah, you're right about that, but
it's
it
sad,
seems like
it's scary.
fewer and fewer people are walking in lockstep with Donald Trump. With the polls coming out where it's saying that his approval rating's 39%, that's dropping. That would have to mean at least some of the independent or some of the Republicans are stepping away from him too. So he is losing ground here,
I mean,
slowly, but he's
independence,
losing ground.
but independence, I saw is like 40%. Just, I mean, what is it? It's about that too with independence. I'm thinking, if you're an independent and you support Trump, you're not an independent. You're a Trumper.
Yeah,
As simple
absolutely.
as that. You're a Trumper. Thought you just want to hide it. I don't have any associations. I'm not a Republican. You're a fucking Trumper fuck, which makes
Yeah,
you worse.
I would
Okay,
agree.
at least I can forgive some Republicans because they get sucked in and they want to vote for the R all the time. But if you're an independent and still support Trump and hide because, well, I'm not a Republican, no, we know what you are.
Yeah.
And it's disconcerting to watch all this and listen to people cheer or listen to people think it's going to be fine. We just have to sacrifice. Let me ask you a question. Why do I have to sacrifice for this asshole? Why does my 401k have to sacrifice? Why is it possible going to be hard to find products or even food for my family? For what? For what? To
I, I
reset
think
what?
I think you're like me though, and it sounds crazy, but I'm looking forward to those hard times. I'm looking forward to the shelves being empty. I'm looking because I'll survive. Me and my family will find a way to survive and everything will be fine. But there's a lot of people in those red states that will not survive.
No.
And it apparently takes this something this serious to get them to fucking wake up.
I
So I'm
mean,
ready to wake them up.
Trump's response to the empty shelves is thing because he's in a pissing contest with China. Okay, he doesn't get it. Chinese have already, they're fine. They already made deals. Everyone else, hey, deal maker, they already did it. You know why? They've been doing that for a millennia, way before your ass showed up. The Chinese have been
Absolutely.
the ultimate merchants. Okay,
Right.
so the point being is he's saying he is still insisting. Look, they're going to break. They're going to come crawling to us. And his remark was, kids will just have to have a few more toys during Christmas.
Well, yeah, he
Okay,
said he said maybe the kids will only get 2 dolls instead of 30.
okay,
Fuck you. Because
okay.
what's
Let
he
me just put,
paying?
yeah. Here's the way this is going to work. Okay, guys. Yes, kids will get less for Christmas. You know why? Because longshoremen won't be working because there's no port work. Truck
Right.
drivers won't be working because there's no freight. People that work in stores that get these products won't be working because there's nothing on the shelves, so there's no reason to have their hourly hours. Production in certain manufacturing won't have raw goods, so they have to lay off people and they won't be working. UPS already laid off 20,000 people. Subaru is leaving the United States with thousands of jobs going bye bye. And the reason then people won't have to buy only less things for their kids because they won't have any money to buy
Right.
anything. let alone
Right.
toys, probably like food. And why do you guys don't realize that the GDP dropped 0.3%, but it was up way before in the last quarters
Yeah.
under Biden, but then you turn around and blame that's Biden's fault. Dude, he was president for 20 days in 2025. The rest of it you got to fucking own, and nothing and everything didn't fall apart until you sat your ass behind the desk. But you keep insisting this is Biden's fault. I hear this all the time, especially from the Trump fucks. We have to fix what Biden did. What do you mean? The number one economy?
I was talking to
My
somebody.
401k? Ugh.
I
I'm
was
sorry.
talking about this, and I said you have to remember how this all went down. Joe Biden comes in to a crashed economy, which was crashed by Donald Trump by way of COVID. It was crashed. From the moment Joe Biden came in, things started to improve. Unemployment went down, stock market went up. Stock market raised 15,000 points in the Dow in the time he was in. By the time he left office in February, there was a report from the stock market with the Dow Jones at 4,500 points. At that point, Donald Trump said, "Oh, this is my economy because
Yep.
everybody's excited about me being president." So now Donald Trump gets in. Remember, he's the last guy to crash the economy. Now the economy crashes. And now he's trying to blame Biden. Well, how can you blame Biden if that economy was yours? It's just fucking ridiculous that there will be people who believe this. But I saw a reporter call him out on saying just exactly what I said, and he didn't know what the fuck to say. He's at that point where he's finding out because he's getting pushed into the corner by this guy at this press conference, and of course Terry Moran on ABC. That
He did
fucker.
okay, John. I mean,
He
he
did it.
owned, but
He did the best he could for being on
yeah,
ABC. You
yeah,
know, if it were you or me, we could have nailed this motherfucker. But he did a pretty good job of saying, for ABC saying,
yeah.
yeah,
I
no,
know.
that was photoshopped. And Donald Trump was so fucking in it. When I watched that, he said, it wasn't photoshopped. Why don't you just say it was real? And it wasn't real. And Donald Trump was freaking out. He did not like the pushback he was getting from that. And I don't approve of what Moran did by kind of backing off of it, but he did a lot more than most other reporters do.
Yeah, I know.
And he's under the pressure of working for another big oligarch that could end up firing him. I mean, if you're going to
Yeah,
work there, you got to kind of play with the rules that they have, whether it's good or
I
not.
mean,
But he pushed back a lot, and Donald Trump
mm,
clearly could not handle it. He could not
no,
handle it. What I
but
what I thought was strange. I wonder what you think
yeah.
here. When he was saying it's not Photoshop, that's just lies you guys put out. I'm trying to determine whether he's so bought into his lies or he just didn't know because the people around him aren't telling him the truth. People don't want to tell him stuff that he doesn't want to hear. So maybe he isn't informed enough to understand that everybody knows it was photoshopped.
Well, no, his people tell him, look, this is what we found on him. This will help you out, and he's going to hang on that, even though we know what it was a bunch of lies and bullshit. But he didn't create that; his people around him did it. The
Right.
propaganda people to justify it. Now, I mean, that's he is told he is in a bubble. Okay, going
Yeah.
back to what we talked about earlier, he doesn't
Yeah.
really do anything with the legislature. They just give him those little pretty blue envelope things to sign, so he put a signature on it. He meets people. He talks to the press every day. Hey, to the media who used to complain that Biden didn't speak to you every day, and now you got Trump to speak to you every day. How many of you regular media are speaking to Trump? Let me guess. Not much of you. The majority of right wing fucking bullshit is talking to him. Hell,
Mm.
they had some extra meeting with right wing influencers, right? So they could spread the lies even deeper. I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, it's getting so bad, I think, with the defense that on TikTok, if you say a certain comment, you're getting a strike for things that are ignorant.
Yeah.
It's just getting bad because we can talk about Nazis. We need to talk
Yeah,
about it because that's what they're trying to do. Thank God they're incompetent Nazis, but a lot of their doing is basically right out of the fascist playbook, and they're including disappearing people. People are still
absolutely.
disappearing, and no one's saying anything. Congress is the Republicans are saying, yeah, U.S. citizens can be deported. The courts are saying you can't do it, but he's ignoring the courts, and that's when it comes back to what I was going to. We talked about earlier. I was on a live with some people, and I'm like saying, you know what to do? Well, they're going to court. They're going to have court. He's lost in court. I go, what does that mean? What does it mean? It means nothing because he ignores it. And I said the best thing I could say in the TikTok live is that you know how we deal with it now? A baseball bat. And everyone said, no, you don't want to go there. Yes, I'm sorry. We're getting to the point we have to go there. Don't you all
I
fucking get it? It's
yeah, I
getting to
think
that point.
whether you support it or not, I think we get closer and closer to violence every day. Because, people say, well, the courts are going to do this, the courts are going to do that. What the courts should do, and they've been pussyfooting around about it, especially with the Abrega Garcia thing, there is obviously contempt of court there. And there needs to be some responsibility for that. Now, they're not going to go after Donald Trump, but they can find those lawyers and the people around Donald Trump responsible for or accountable for contempt of court. Something has to be done to make them accountable to slow it down. And up until this point, the courts have said, well, we're kind of nervous about doing it. It
Yeah.
does have to be, figuratively speaking, anyway, it has to be a baseball bat because everything else hasn't worked. Now, whether
No.
that means legally or politically or a literal baseball bat, I don't know. But something stronger than what has been done to this point needs to be done.
I mean, everyone's like in there. Go, we don't want. Why? Why? I mean, they have literally said that ICE can break into your home in the middle of the night looking for stuff. They don't
Yeah.
have to tell you why. They don't even have a warrant. Now, I thought that was in the Constitution because that's what the other king did.
Yeah.
And you going, oh, okay, we need to accept this and go to court over it. There's a judge that has been arrested and facing charges because she told ICE, you have an administrative warrant, not a judge warrant. Go to the chief judge and get a warrant so you can. Yeah, but right now this guy can't be held. So they arrested her for that, and then the fucking Wisconsin Supreme Court suspended her. Yeah, I heard. Well, they have to do it because it's part of the procedure. You can't make an exception for something that's blatantly stupid. No, you just basically hung her out to dry.
So
Fuck.
we have to do something within the boundaries of legality for something that was done outside the boundaries of legality. That makes no fucking sense. That's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
and that's where we're losing this point. So now, Trump set the some executive order about the Department of Defense looking at how they can help local law enforcement. I heard a rumor that ICE is deputizing private citizens to help them see the Proud Boys. I don't know if it's true. I haven't found a backup on it yet, but I'm hearing rumors.
Well, Ed
That
said that on the show one time before that it's not all ICE. There's not enough ICE people. And when you go
Mhm.
out and see these people in black outfits with no insignias, no badges, no patches or anything, he firmly believes, and I tend to agree with him, that people like other militias like Proud Boys and the
Right.
rest of these dumb fucks are helping out. That would not at all be surprising. And the way they're treating people would suggest that's true.
Again, right now they're still hitting soft targets.
Yeah.
They really haven't gotten hardcore to go after someone who's really dangerous because they know what's going to happen. If they really roll up on someone who's really dangerous and has nothing to lose, then it would get ugly. And they
Yeah.
don't want that because then it would look really bad for them. And again, I'm looking for them to step into a house in the middle of the night and someone actually reacts with a weapon that they're allowed to carry. Then what? I mean, they
Well,
did that
yeah.
thing in Oklahoma with the wrong home, but it was a family that they scared to death, and not one word from anybody,
If
not
someone
one
breaks into your
prosecution.
house in some states, I don't know if it's all states, but in some states, somebody breaks into your house and you kill them by shooting them, you're perfectly within your legal rights, especially. And if these people aren't really with ICE and if they don't acknowledge who they are, they go in that house at their own peril at that point.
And the thing about it, you're right. I'm waiting. I'm hoping not. It's not going to be fun, but I'm hoping to see that when everything starts the shelves and people start complaining, what the reaction is going to be. Because now the Commerce Secretary is still saying that everything's going to be okay. Manufacturing is coming to the United States. Okay, guys.
No.
Okay, you don't create a plant out of a manufacturing plant doesn't just pop up. And then when you do, what are you going to use to produce the products? There's
Yeah.
raw materials considered with it. They just give you these fucking propaganda words, and this guy is supposed to be, and Lutnick, who's the Treasury Secretary, supposed to be some kind of brilliant businessman, and they just sit there and just puppet what Trump says to the point that um, even the right wing, what's her name, Ann, that crazy lady for years, and never mind, it'll come back to me. Always a friend of Bill Maher, and it'll come back to me. Ann Coulter, thank you. Ann
Yeah.
Coulter saw it
Yeah.
and said, "This is disgusting." When she says that, that's bad because they're just so sycophantic. They're just like sit there and tell you to sacrifice, or no one needs a social security check for a month. It's okay. And they sell this, and these motherfuckers buy it
Yeah.
and fucking just keep repeating over and over again because they think they won. What did you
Yeah.
win? I mean, you haven't won shit. I've never seen this country such. It's embarrassing when the
Well,
Canadians can figure it out more than we can. No offense to
I think
Canada, they're smarter than us.
I think the problem is when you see somebody like Scott Bessent or this Lutnick,
Yeah.
they're wealthy in their own right. We know that they know everything Donald Trump is saying is wrong. But they're so concerned with power because they already got a shitload of money, they will just go along with Donald Trump. I would warn them, though, Donald Trump will not be around forever, and he's sinking fast now. A lot of people are stepping away from him. When he's done, these people are going to have to answer some questions. Their credibility is going to be up for debate when this is all done. Donald Trump will go down in flames. He will be a pariah, and you will be the people that stood next to him, stood with him all the way.
Right.
And that's not going to fare well for you going on into the future if you have hopes of being in business or in government at any type.
Well, they have money, and that's the thing. You've got people who don't relate, who don't take the job seriously. See, this is the problem with they're sitting in these positions. They don't take the job seriously. They don't know
No,
how it really works. They want it to work a certain way. Let's talk about Pete Hegseth, who has no idea what he's doing. He's
no,
the Secretary of Defense of America, Department of Defense. His job is to coordinate logistics and make sure we have a strong defense. He has no idea. He really doesn't. He thinks he needs to go to war with everyone.
yeah,
I mean, he just said something against Iran about threatening with war. I'm going, see, this has got to feel tough now because he's fucked because he doesn't know what to do. I didn't see Lloyd Austin doing that. No, because he knows that my job is to have a ready army in case there's a problem. Oh, by the way, the Pakistanis and the Indians are about to go at it. And one person said this is going to be the first test of the Trump administration. Test? Test? It's going to be an absolute disaster. It's going to be a failure. It's going to get worse. It could spread to all of Asia and Europe because incompetency runs us. I hope the Europeans and NATO have more sense in this because
yeah.
don't depend on us. That's going to be a nightmare if it gets out of hand.
Well, he
That's
can't straighten out you. He can't straighten out Ukraine and Russia or Israel and Gaza. He can't straighten that shit out. He's flustered with this whole thing. He thought he could walk in, fix both these things, get the Nobel Peace Prize, and be a hero. And clearly that's not working because he doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
And with India and Pakistan, if they go to war, what I'm more concerned about really right now, I'm concerned about that, of course. But everything we've seen tells us we have literally no national security. There
No,
is
we don't.
no there is no national security, and everybody around the world knows the guy running our Defense Department is a fucking clown. That makes us incredibly vulnerable at this point, more
Mhm.
vulnerable than we've ever been in our history.
And intelligence. I mean,
Yeah,
the National Security Advisor is gone, as you said in your video, and I saw earlier. Marco Rubio is supposed to be that too, till they find a replacement. Marco Rubio so far over his skis is ridiculous.
yeah.
God.
But
Um,
we should explain that Mike Waltz was the National Security Advisor. Now, Mike Waltz was also the one responsible for bringing in that journalist into the Signalgate issue. So
right.
he's been getting a lot of heat from Republicans and Democrats. So Mike Waltz allegedly decides to resign, and I'm guessing he was pushed out.
Hmm.
He was getting heat. But Donald Trump feels some loyalty to this clown for some reason because when he resigned, they said, okay, now I'm going to nominate him to be the UN ambassador, which is
You
a
know,
far easier job and kind of
mhm,
under the radar.
right.
Keep him on the payroll. We just don't want to hear from him and take the heat off him. If he thinks that's going to end the heat, it's crazy because what Donald Trump apparently didn't think of was that if you want him to be the UN ambassador, he's going to have to go through um, uh, confirmation hearings in Congress. And if you think the Democrats aren't going to ask about Signalgate, you're a fucking idiot. And Donald Trump fucked that up because that's just going to bring this
I
all
mean,
back up to the surface.
Trump doesn't know how government works. He probably thought, like, okay, it's like a company. I'll just demote him to this department. It's all good. Yeah,
Right.
dude. The problem is you can't do that because the Senate's going to have to give you a confirmation, advise and consent. It's in that thing called the Constitution. The
Yeah.
Constitution. Never mind. They're going to have hearings, and I haven't watched any of these hearings because it makes me itch. I'll watch those hearings because it's going to be an absolute barbecue. They're
Yeah.
going to scorch his ass. Because the thing about it, it might be an easier job, but he is going to have access to sensitive information as UN ambassador.
Right.
He's going to have sensitive information available to him because you have to, because he's one
Right.
of the points to foreign relations. So that's one of the questions he's going to have to answer. Meanwhile, that he just went down for Pete Hesketh, who continues being Pete Hesketh, who has no idea, and the Pentagon's a mess. And already they're saying someone needs to go down there and fix it. You got rid of the people that were in charge to fix it. Like, is there a joint chief of staff? No, there isn't. You fired him, but he's still there. I mean, and that's the thing. I want to know if he decides to go all out martial law and calls out the military, how much of that's going to move for him?
Yeah.
How much really will move? Because I don't know. Because if there's chaos in the Pentagon, there's chaos across the entire ranks and within the divisions of the military. They're all
Absolutely.
taking sides. And that's scary because that's when you
Yeah.
start getting civil war talk. I mean, when Jamie Pritzker is saying, yeah, if they show up, the Illinois National Guard's going to fight them, that's fucking civil war, guys.
Yeah.
That's when the shit gets real. And that's what I'm saying. For everyone to depend on the court is insane. I mean, I know there's a judge in Florida, in Texas today, who was appointed by Trump in 18, said, no, you can't use the Foreign Enemies Act to deport people. I mean, he made an injunction against it. They're not going
Well,
to listen to it,
that's not a
but
hard
he
answer
did.
to come up with. That's not a hard answer to come up with when
Yeah.
you know that you're supposed to use that at a time of war, and we are
Hmm.
not in a time of war. So that whole concept is bullshit.
I know.
Everybody knows that, but nobody's pushed back against it. So it was good to see this judge say that. But like you say, if he just ignores it, there's got to be something else that can be done. And people in Congress, the Democrats, need to figure out what that is. We've said that we're the last line of defense. Well, we can do so much. We can have
Right.
protests, or we can be fighting in the streets. Those are pretty much our options.
I mean,
And
were there
if
protests
you,
today? I heard there were protests in the world, but I've seen it in the United States. Were there
no, there are
protests?
protests. I'm talking about protests in general. Like we had on
Yeah.
April 5th, April 19th. There's protests pretty much every day, not the sizable ones we see with the national ones. But what I'm saying is, if we're the last line of defense, what can we do as a people? We can protest, or we can fight in the streets. Those are really the only two options. And of course, the latter is not something we want to do, but if people
No.
keep pushing it and everybody does nothing about it, that's where we're headed. And people should understand that. We should be wanting to try to avoid that.
Want to avoid it, but the point, like, so they had a protest where a reverend was praying in the rotunda of Capitol and got arrested. Why? Because he wasn't praying right.
Yeah,
He was praying for help for God against Trump. You couldn't wait to pick his ass up and arrest him. And the
right.
point was, you kind of hear that and you go, yeah, the protests are fine, but like if you do pro-Palestinian protests, I don't care. That's your right. But ICE shows up at your door, banging down your door to arrest you for terrorist acts. Oh, well, by the way, they had Hasidic Jews running around in New York the other day, attacking Arabs in New York, throwing things, spitting at them. I didn't hear anyone picking those guys up.
Yeah.
I didn't see it. I mean, I saw the violence, guys. I saw the violence. I mean, you're running around death to Arabs. What makes you any better than those ones who did it before? It doesn't. But police took to show up, finally showed up, but I didn't hear ICE knocking their doors,
Yeah.
NYPD knocking their doors. I mean, here we
We had
are.
old we had Old Soul on the show yesterday, and she's quite the activist. And I got a text from her today saying that she's going out someplace on the road again to do something. And her concern was that there's been word coming out of the White House or Republicans about going after Haitians in this country. Now, the reason she was upset about it, of course, she cares about Haitian people and wants to help protect them. But she and a lot of people are thinking this is just a reason to pick up any black person.
Yep.
I thought they were Haitian. Oh, we sent them to El Salvador. They weren't Haitian. Whoops, we can't get them back. And under a normal circumstance, I go, that's little extreme, little crazy, but it's not anymore. They do make excuses for picking anybody up, whether you're praying in the Capitol or you happen to be the color of other Haitians and you just want to grab everybody. It is troubling to know how ridiculous these people are. They either are thoughtless and stupid, or they just don't care, and they literally want to pick up every brown
Yeah,
person,
they do.
every black
No,
person, every
they
Asian person.
do. That's the thing, Mike. They do. Again, I go back to the RNC with those two old people. Signs said mass deportations. Those weren't handwritten. Those are produced by the RNC. And then there was judge in Fresno who stopped an arrest of someone from by ICE saying you don't have a warrant. And I made a comment on it in YouTube. Said I hope he doesn't get arrested. And people say I hope they ignore him. This is what we voted for. This is what we voted for. This is what we voted for. That traitor judge should go to jail. This is what we voted for. This is what they voted for.
Yeah,
They are ready to eat dirt, not have any food on the shelves, as long as you get rid of them people.
yeah,
I mean, it's ridiculous, but it's what they drove them. Because again, Democrats keep talking about message for the next election. What did we do wrong? Honestly, you didn't do anything wrong. You just ran across a man who tapped into the idiocy and the racism and hate of the majority of Americans against a black woman, and some of them just sat it out because they want to vote for a black woman. So Gavin Newsom can shut the fuck up. You're running really thin on me now because I hear your message, and your message is we try to find middle ground. There is no motherfucking middle ground.
Yeah,
There is no middle ground.
when they talk about Democrats not doing the right messaging, that was well and good leading up to the election. But right at this point, I say, fuck messaging. It's time for action.
Yes.
Whatever that action is, it's time for action. We can't talk our way out of this. We can't message our way out of this. We're too deep. There's too much trouble. There needs to be action.
Yeah.
Fuck the messaging. Let's take action.
I mean, what's the see the thing about it, they keep saying what's the message now? Okay, so let's be honest. They conned him because they thought it'd be worse.
Yeah.
Okay, Trump made a promise. Now he can't keep his promises. If you're a Democrat running for office, your message is the man didn't keep his promises. Are you better off? No. Do you feel safer? No. Okay. The only way for you to feel safe is to give us a Congress that can fight against a man who thinks he's king. Are you with me? If you go beyond that message and go into the rabbit hole like, yeah, well, we want to get rid of the bad immigrants too, fuck you. Okay? Because that's the wrong fucking message. Because you're
Yeah.
not going to win those people anyway. What you need is to get the people who really are going to the town halls and pissed and said, hey, we understand your pain. What you need is to let us get to Congress and we'll try to fight for you every inch of the way, get back your money and make sure he doesn't abuse you or due process. We'll work out the immigration thing later. We were trying to, but he got in the way. You see what happens when you don't talk. So all you got to do is vote for me, and I'm going to stand up for your rights and the Constitution against a man who thinks he's king. Are you
Right.
in? What more do you want to say, guys? If they start bringing up the other stuff, you go, well, it's what has he done for you? Well, yeah, we got rid of immigrants. Yeah, but a lot of them were U.S. citizens, and they had no due process. Is that correct? I mean,
But you,
what is this
but you're
message that
making
they keep running out?
you're making one mistake that I made about the election. You're using common sense and logic. And where we are now, common sense and logic has no
Yeah,
place. I'm sorry to say that. Um, the thing
but
about it is that with these guys, they have to suffer some pain, and even when they suffer the pain, we're not sure whether or not they're still going to switch sides. What they have to understand is this is how you know you're in a cult. Donald Trump says, I want to win the election. I'm going to bring down prices and inflation. Day one, that's what he says. Okay. And the people are all repeating him, parroting what he said. Then he gets in office and then he says, well, Jesus, guys, it's going to take me a little time. And those people that bought into that it's going to be day one, they're saying, yeah, of course it needs to take time to do this sort of thing. They will buy into anything he says. And those people are unredeemable. They're not savable.
yeah,
We have to just assume that they're done. And we're talking about maybe 30,
hey,
35%. We just gotta we've got to forget about them
please,
because
Norton.
they cannot be fixed.
No, I'm not talking to them. Fuck them. I'm talking about the people who vote R all the time because they know because it's always done them well. Okay,
Right.
those people are the ones showing up at these downtown halls and pissed.
Right.
Okay, I'm talking about also the independents who thought they were going to punish everyone. They ended up punishing themselves. So the difference now, Mike, would be what I said. Yes, was the message in the election on November 5th, but no one thought it would get that bad.
No.
No one thought this would happen. No one thought Project 2025 was really real, that this would happen. It's happening. Now they see it. Now they feel it. And the point is, now the message is, I'm not going to tell you I told you so. What I'm going to tell you is, help me fix this so we can get through it. And then we can work out some differences rightly, correctly, without a man who thinks he's king.
Yeah.
You see, that's the difference. Because now they're starting to see shit. Yeah, this is not what I signed up for. And the point is, I don't want you to love us. See, that's the thing. I don't need you to love me. I don't need you to. to agree with everything, but I need you to agree on the basic principle that in order to get our Constitution back, so we can fight properly over things and come up with compromises, we have to get rid of this thing. And I think that's the message. And if you're saying, well, that becomes Trump centric, yeah, because
Yeah.
that's the problem. Because once you cut the head off the snake, once you take away the legislative branch that he's been leaning on, and they really start to push back, what's he got? That's
Right.
the thing. When you have Congress sitting there capitulating, Mike Johnson wearing his orange makeup, being a little mini me, you can't, you don't have the branch. And then at that point, the judicial will step in because now they have no Congresses on their side.
Right.
See, this is the problem when you have two branches of government, one branch of government giving in. They're giving in to them, and that's
We
the problem
we
at
are
this
seeing
point.
some people wake up though. Some people.
Yes,
We can tell that by the polling. And this next story that I was just reading about is something TJ brought up. He's a labor leader, and Albrega Garcia is in a union. He's
pipe
a
fitter.
pipe fitter, right? So this story came out. American labor unions are calling on El Salvador to return Kilmar Abrega Garcia to the U.S., calling his deportation by Trump administration as egregious violation of our brother's rights. It took
Yes.
him a while. It took him a while, but the unions should be stepping up and saying that. The same unions that probably voted for Donald Trump, they now have snapped up one of your brothers, threw him in jail for no reason. They could get him back, but they refused to get him back. And now finally the unions are stepping up saying something. It's about fucking time.
Oh, union members about to find out FAFO right now. 20,000 UPS driver employees about to be laid off. 4%
Right.
of the workforce. Why? Amazon's dropped their shipping. That is a Teamster house, and a good amount of rank and file Teamsters did vote for Trump. How's that working for you? Hey,
Yeah.
longshoremen, I know you guys are conservative. How's that going to work for you, Sue? And truckers, how's that working for you? See, the thing about it is that the idea the idea that they weren't going to be the ones to take a hit on this.
Right.
See, this is go back to you're taking a hit, and now if you want to fix it, you're going to have to change your thinking. Because right now, if you're still concerned about immigrants and all that, then you're going to do that from, I don't know, homeless under a bridge when you lose everything because it's getting
Yeah.
rid of your support systems. The point is, the reason I don't want to hear about judges and all that because it's not going to work until we go rock bottom and one or two things happen. Like I said, someone wakes up on the legislative side, starts to fight back, or it gets to a point that the rest of us goes, now it's time to go because that's what I'm worried about. But at that point, we have nothing to lose, and that's and
No.
that's the point. I mean, I don't want to get there, but it's got it because right now we keep saying there's empty shelves and no one's believing it. You will soon.
Yeah, you
You
will.
will soon.
Well,
And
that's one of the mistakes I've made over time. Uh, and now I'm not sure what to think. When Donald Trump was running for president, making all these claims and saying all these stupid things and saying he won the election in 2020, I was under the belief that at some point the Republicans would say, that's too far. We can't follow up on that. And then when he became president and the stock market drops up, I thought, okay, now the Republicans are going to say that's too far. And we have yet to see that.
no,
They have not pushed back much at all. They're starting to a little bit more, but certainly not enough. It's just amazing to me that the Republican Party is basically torpedoing their own party and their own futures the longer they sit and watch Donald Trump do the shit he does and
yeah,
support him.
moral cowards. They have
Absolutely.
no. They're cowards and they're morally bankrupt because they don't
It's
see the big picture. All they see is that I need to hang on to my phony baloney job. That's why when they're in these town meetings they are surprised. They're surprised because you voted for me because I said I was going to support Donald Trump. I'm
Right.
supporting Donald Trump. Now you're pissed at me. What do you want? Honestly, watch those things. It's not that they keep supporting Trump. Why? They're saying that. Why? Because that's what you voted me to do. Isn't that what you told me to do? You voted for me because I'm a MAGA guy. I'm a Trump supporter. I'm doing what you told me to do. Why are you mad at me?
Well, that's a
That's
good
what it is.
point.
Why you're mad at me? You told me to support Trump. Yeah, but he's doing what? But doing this and that. Yeah, you told me to support him. What do you want? I mean, I'm not talking about the Marjorie Taylor Greens and the hardcore idiots. I'm just talking about the basic idiot congressman who walks into those town halls and is shocked because this is what you voted for. Why are you back at me?
That's a
Because
good
he
point.
didn't.
That's a good point, and that's a good answer. When he's sitting in front of all these Republicans and they're mad about what Donald Trump is doing, they can be mad that Congress is basically giving away power to Donald Trump. They can be mad about that, but these people that run for office, their only concern is to get reelected. That's their first
Right.
priority, their only priority. And for these people who are now finding out what they bought into, I guess if I'm a politician, I'm going to say the same thing. You told me to vote for Donald Trump. So am
Yes.
I fucked up or are you fucked up? And that's
Yeah.
what I when I was talking to Old Soul yesterday, I was saying we are in for a national mental breakdown because these people are cult members, and there's going to come a time in the not so distant future that Donald Trump will be exposed. People will hate him because the shelves are bare or everything's costing too much, and people will turn against Donald Trump. And all these people that support Donald Trump, no matter what, are going to see him become a pariah. And there's going to be an emotional breakdown. They won't know what to do with themselves because they can't see themselves as anything but a Trump supporter. But when he becomes, it's kind of like what Elon Musk is going through. Hey, I'm the fun guy. I'm the smart guy. Everybody's buying my Teslas. Then all of a sudden they're not because they hate your guts. He doesn't get it. He does not understand why that's
Oh,
happening. And these people who are going to have to see Donald Trump crash and burn and become a pariah, they aren't going to know what to do with themselves.
well, Elon's about to lose his job because the
Yeah.
rumors are Tesla's using a new looking for a new CEO. It's a little late for Tesla.
Yeah.
They may be
That's not going to
totally,
help.
absolutely fucked. Because Elon has totally ruined that brand. Totally ruined the brand. I
Well,
mean,
Elon is the brand, and Elon is a
yeah,
fucking villain now.
yeah. And the thing is, so when I was about to buy, they literally, I was insuring someone with a Tesla, old Tesla, 18. And they said, yeah, I've been having problems trying to insure it. I go, yeah, we'll insure a Tesla. Well, he's saying, why is it so expensive? I go, because it's a Tesla. And she laughed. And then I said, congrats, at least it's not a Cybertruck. We don't insure those. And I say this because I got someone wanting to insure a Cybertruck, and I sent a message to my supervisor. Do we insure this thing? He put no with a flame emoji. Okay. So, and I told her basically because the parts are too expensive, so the happens to it. Honestly, it's really expensive to fix. But the point being is, even someone who owns one knows what it is.
Yeah.
The thing about it is that Tesla had great opportunities. They were moving forward, but then your CEO decided that he wanted to be king or
Right.
monarch or something. And all of
Right.
a sudden, the problem is that it, what's the line from Lord of the Rings where at that sign where Gandalf is telling Saruman, yeah, he's going to rule with the leader Sauron, the great evil guy, and he goes, no, there's only one Lord of the Rings, and he does not share power. And
Right.
that's when Elon Musk found out there's only one narcissistic in charge, and you're not it. Bye. And he
Yeah.
threw him under the bus. He's finished, and all his rep is finished, and everything he's done is finished. He doesn't know it, but like the old saying says, like everyone says, everything Trump touches dies. Guess what, Elon? You just found out.
Yeah, you're
You
dying.
just found out.
They can fire him. They can do whatever they want, but Tesla is already been labeled a piece of shit brand that
Yeah.
nobody wants. I saw uh, a Cybertruck with I saw a meme of it, but this Cybertruck had a sign on the back of it that basically said, "Yes, I have a Cybertruck, but I believe in rights for kids. I believe in democracy. I believe in that stuff." Trying to save from getting vandalized. I saw one Cybertruck in my area, and they painstakingly put the Toyota words and logo on the back of
Oh
it.
my God. Because it's and the thing about it's like it's just dumb. Tesla had a good share, had a good market, had a good thing going, and they won't come back, but they're probably going to shrink into a smaller niche
Yeah,
thing. That's what's probably going to happen because that's what they really were, was a niche thing. Let's be honest. Tesla was a niche thing. Electric cars. They weren't going to compete with Ford and GM's version of electric cars. They weren't going
yeah.
to compete on mass production. Um, Elon just sold everyone a bill of goods as a niche. Well, when your niche, where your rep in a niche market gets ruined, you're screwed, and they're
If
really
Tesla
screwed.
if Tesla hopes to survive, this is what I believe they need to do. And I'm not an expert, but just for marketing purposes, they need to fire Elon.
Yep.
They need to change the name of the company because
Mhm.
Tesla is sad because Tesla, the inventor, is an amazing guy, but they've got to change the name. They've got to take a year or two off and redesign what they look like as if
Exactly.
they're a totally different company, which they
Yeah.
would be a totally different company. But that's the only way that company survives, and it's going to take a beating for a while.
Yeah.
It's
It's
taking
going
a
to be
beating
ugly.
now.
Yeah. And the brands also, if you kind of look at it, other brands are starting to find out as
Yeah.
their support for Trump blows up in their face. Amazon's about to find out. They're finding out with the tariff thing. I mean, they were going to put that on. If you buy an item, this is what it costs before tariffs. This is after with tariffs. The difference. Trump flipped out, called Bezos, and they took that down. Paramount, who is the parent company of CBS,
Right.
basically, we know what happened with 60 Minutes called, the editor resigned. And then last week, the last minute, the 60 Minutes people, 60 Minutes just went after him hardcore, laid it out. And it's been found out that the chairman, whose name is Sherry Redbone, who's a big fucking Trumper, who's trying to get this merger with
Merger.
Skydance. Yeah, she has been poking around, asking that anything sensitive for Trump on 60 Minutes be squashed till after the merger. At that point, and Aaron Parnas made a good point. Yeah, Paramount Plus, he's gone. I don't mind.
Yeah.
I mean, so pity. I like they have the only thing with Star Trek on it. But the point is, you can't do that and mess with something that's so sacred by the way of news. Messing with 60 Minutes is 50 years
Credibility.
of credibility and to protect your what? Same thing what PCL's done with the Washington Post. I don't know what their readership is, but I know it's nothing what it used to be. No one
Yeah.
reads the Washington. I don't. I dumped that too. New York
Basically,
Times.
basically, what Paramount is saying is credibility doesn't matter as long as we get our deal done and we make our money. And if that's their attitude, how can you trust CBS News? How can you trust
Yeah.
anything that's tied to Paramount at this point? I mean, people from 60 Minutes are saying, "We know this is fucked up, but we have no choice."
Yeah. And that's why they called it out. I
Yeah,
mean, when he resigned and their reaction to resign, yeah, we get it. And this is what they're doing. Good night. And that was shocking.
yeah,
And the point, I mean, and also I think the point was, what are you going to do? Fire all of us? Do it. I know that's what they said. Go ahead and do it. See what happens. If
yeah,
you think it was bad now, watch what happens then. And that's
yeah.
what happened like with MSNBC. They started getting rid of people like Joey Reid, Katie Fang, where everyone knows how they move. You no, we figured that out. I mean, like NBC, Kristen Welker makes me ill even to listen to her.
Yeah, I'm not a
And
fan.
CNN is still walking that fine fucking line. And the thing about it is, I know independent media has risen, but you still got to remember the mass media has a big fucking stake in this, has a big voice. And whether we like it or not, it's still an influencer overall. Yeah, I
Oh
know
yeah,
Midas Touch is big and everyone else is big there, but those voices are still loud in that
absolutely.
because a lot of people away from don't do social media. They really don't. I mean, I know it's big and people make a living off it, but
Yeah.
honestly, guys, I mean, the mass media matters, and that's why when they had the Washington Correspondents' Dinner, I'm like, you got rid of the comedian Amber Ruffin because you don't want she, she she's a known going after Trump, so they didn't want that because they said they didn't want any political. They didn't want any kind of political discourse celebrating journalism. What do you
Yeah.
think journalism is, you dumbasses? And then the whole thing turned into a fucking award show. And
Yeah.
like Kristen Welker's up there talking about, you know, journalism, journalistic integrity. You fucking traitors. They talked about the Fourth Estate back when the Constitution was formed, hence the First Amendment and the
Right.
importance of the free press and to speak your mind.
Mm.
And you betrayed it. For what?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you got a good parking spot. Hope you like it. I
There's
mean,
nobody on MSNBC. Well, I won't say nobody, but vast majority of
well,
people
Lawrence
on
O'Donnell.
MSNBC or CNN. Yeah, Lawrence O'Donnell's cool. But on MSNBC, CNN, um, Fox News, OAN, Newsmax, all this, there is nobody or few people that can stand up with a straight face and talk about journalistic integrity because they are not journalists.
Well, they stopped being. You and I are old enough to know what a news station was. A
Yeah.
news station just reported the news 24/7 a day, even though they repeated the news, and then different stuff hourly. There was
Well, that's
no
kind of how
political discourse.
CNN was the first 24-hour
Started that way,
news.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. CNN had that. They had headline news. That's all they did was report news, and there was no political stuff. And then Fox came into the picture, and then Fox started to take market share and decided to have their own political thing. Some of it, like point counterpoint, they had some stuff
Yeah.
that they had conservatives on, fine, but it was in a corner. But they still did news, and when something happened, you went to CNN because it's 24/7. I mean, and that's what you did. They covered the news, but now they all the news. There's no news reporting. It's just news shows.
Well,
The
basically, what they
shows,
did is they'd have the straightaway news, and it was boring. And they did it as a loss leader or a public service on the stations and on the networks. It was boring. Occasionally, what they would do is they would have an editorial, but it would be a separate item from the news. It would be a
yes,
different feature. And I've said this before. I think where the epiphany came was in '79 when we had the Iranian hostage
yes.
crisis. And then
Ted Koppel, the
Ted Koppel
his
comes out.
show, the
It
show
was,
he had
it,
at night. What was it
yeah, he was
uh,
on every night, and people were watching it because they were concerned about this, and that was the epiphany. They said, you know what, we can make money off of news, and from that point on, things really changed. Things really deteriorated. Then you have Ronald Reagan get rid of uh,
the Fairness and
the Fairness
Fairness and
Act. Yeah.
Media Act.
So then it started to deteriorate. I mean, everything seems to start with Ronald Reagan, the deterioration of the middle class, the deterioration of
Yeah.
journalism in media. That started to deteriorate, and it took years and years and years, but here we the fuck are.
If you want to see something as a forerunner to everything we've seen today, the movie I believe that won Best Picture. You probably said a Network. Patty
Network, yeah.
Chayefsky's film. And remember, there's a line in that movie. William Holden's in it at the head of the news department for this UBS network, and Robert Duvall had taken over, and he was trying to object to something. He goes, "I don't want to hear a word out of you. Your department costs us $20 million a year in losses. Shut up." That's
Yeah.
how news was. News was a loss.
Yeah, it
News
was.
was a public service. The ratings wouldn't do about it, but they changed it. And if you watch network and you watch what news became now, it's pretty much Jayowski was predicting the future. He did literally predicted the future of what news turned into. And that's the problem. There is no true journalism anymore. There are no true journalists anymore
Well,
to
back
actually
back in
tell you
the
what's going on.
70s and early 80s, there was something called a current affair.
I remember
And
that.
a current affair was basically a tabloid, gossipy type news show. It was more entertainment than it was actually news. That's what we have now in total. Everything is
Yes.
like a current affair right now, whether you watch MSNBC, CNN, OAN, or whatever, it
Yeah.
is a current affair, and that is not news.
No, and everyone accepts it as normal. Then came
Yeah,
Facebook, which everything got twisted. TikTok, what side of TikTok is what you get your information from because you can't discern it.
right.
I mean, everyone's kind of you turned off your cognitive reasoning because you really didn't know what information was that came through. You never heard what information sounds like.
People
You
got
haven't.
lazy. They don't want to be informed. They want to be entertained. And the media has reacted to that. We got to entertain them. We got to keep their attention. We got to make them scared. We got to make them laugh. We got to do something. And that's
Yeah.
not what news was back when news was
Well,
actually news.
now local news used to do that. If you remember
Yeah.
the rating suites, you probably do because
Yeah.
you were on radio. Um,
Yeah.
and they would have their big bad stories. They would do a 5 part on teen pregnancy or something weird.
Charles
It would
Manson
all
or something. Yeah.
yeah, it's something for ratings during that time. And I mean, so those that was the um, I mean that was not the beginning, but it was just that's what they did because they needed some ratings, especially local
Right.
news. But it's gotten to that point is that's all it is now. Each show is just not even informing people, it's just trying to be more outrageous than the other. And I mean, the only one like Rachel Maddow does it right. What is she, once a week? This is my show. This
Now,
is what I give you. Yeah, this is what I give you. The guy on HBO, John, I keep forgetting his name.
Jon Stewart,
John, no, not John Stewart, the English guy. It'll come back to me.
John
Um,
Oliver.
John Oliver. John Oliver in an hour can teach you stuff you can't believe.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious and it's comical, but he deals with the facts and he deals it all out. Um, and so those things are are literally the last bits of journalism left. I'm going
Yeah.
to throw Bill Maher out there because he's an asshole. He
I'm
doesn't
not a
talk shit, right?
fan.
He talks bullshit. But John
He's he,
Oliver will,
Bill
and
Maher acts like he cares, but all he cares about is ratings. I don't give a fuck what
yeah,
anybody says. That's all he cares
and
about. He'll do
and I
whatever it
said
takes
it.
to get it.
Bill Maher was the one who brought us the sad, disgusting disease of political correctness because he objected for people being called out for being racist.
Yeah.
He hated it. He said, "Well, I mean, you should be able to say whatever you want." No, dude, you don't. And he made a living off it. And you went and visited Trump and said he's still a nice guy, and you can go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
And why people still watch your show, I have no idea because your sense of humor sucks. You really
Yeah.
don't have any kind of clever at all. That's why.
I don't watch his show. He's getting old too, and he should
Well,
take his
oh,
money and free fucking lax and get out of the narrative because no one cares anymore.
and it's
Anytime
hard. Go ahead. Sorry.
anytime you buddy up with Donald Trump, we saw it with Obama, we saw it with uh,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Gretchen Whitmer. If you're going to be near Trump or any of the Republicans, better be ready to fight them. Otherwise, people are going to
Yeah.
fucking cancel you. That may be wrong, that may be right, but it doesn't matter. That's the fact. If
Yeah.
you're not
I
fighting
mean,
against these people trying to destroy us, you become the enemy too.
Saquon Barkley, who was the running back for
How stupid is that?
Philadelphia, Yeah, he went and played golf with him, but he knew him from New York when he was a Giant. So he came, I mean, and everyone absolutely went fucking crazy. My team, the
Yeah.
Dodgers, went to the White House and they all went. And basically, they were told by the Guggenheim people, just go, get it over with, do your thing. They gave them the thing. Man, the shit they got. And I get it. And they had to deal with it. It was just one of those things. I mean, everyone, I get it. All right. They didn't make any political thing. They went in, went out, got out. They did their thing. And then they lost 7 out of 10.
Right.
So, I mean, the thing about Donald Trump, he's a soul sucking demon. And it's hard every day for all of us who don't. It's kind of, I mean, it bugs me because it's just for the last 10 years, it's made our lives
Yeah.
hard, unnecessarily hard. Even
Worse
when he
for
wasn't
some
in
folks.
office, yeah. And even when he was not in office, he was still there.
Yeah.
He was always there because he got a taste of it. Now he's got it again. And he's 78 fucking years old. And we are being led by a madman.
Yeah.
You hear
Absolutely.
him talk, it's like it's childish and it's ignorant. And he talks and he doesn't say anything and people cheer. And it's like that's why people going, you know, I'm getting to the point again, baseball bat, because I don't know because
Yeah.
everything else is not going to work. Now, is it going to be the right thing to do? I don't know. I really don't. I'm not advocating for it, but I'm telling you, be prepared. And don't tell me, don't count on anyone to save you because their Avengers are not coming.
Well,
No one's coming.
I think the point is something has to be done. And there are some things that are more distasteful than others. But the bottom line is something has to be done, and whatever happens has to be done. I want to talk about, as we're getting in the later stages here, I just want to
Yeah.
bring something up because it's imminent and it's frightening and it's going to be devastating, not only for people in this country, but for the Republicans. And I think most of them know it, but apparently Donald Trump doesn't know it. I'm talking about the tariff thing and the pissing contest with China. China's ready to buckle down and shove this down Donald Trump's throat. And we're hearing people saying there will be empty shelves. Everybody talks about higher prices. I always say that's not the worst part of it. The worst part
Hmm.
of it is when you want to go get what you want, it doesn't matter if you can't afford it if it doesn't fucking exist. And that is certainly going to happen. We know for sure it's going to happen because the boats have stopped coming here.
Hmm.
And Donald Trump can't say, oh, well, I'll do something different. And then all of a sudden it'll magically appear. It's going to be
Yeah.
like COVID. Once you stop that supply chain, we saw it with Biden. It takes a while to ramp it up, if they ramp it up at all. So there is going to be a period of time where we were without shit, maybe even going toward Christmas. That's going to happen. And it's going to be interesting to see how people react to that.
I'm hoping they react the right way
Yeah.
because right now the threat is not, it's coming. And the Chinese, see, the thing about it, what he did, he didn't weaken the Chinese. The Chinese are more powerful than before
Yeah.
because they cut deals with everybody else and no one wants to deal with us. Basically, they don't want to deal with Trump. They don't want to deal with Trump.
Right.
And so even if Trump is backs off, the Chinese will smile and go, "That's nice. We got deals somewhere else. We don't need your shit." And because the point is, why do you need an army to take over the world when you can use money
Yeah.
and connections and just bleed your enemy to death? Because that's what they did, and we voted this in.
Well, see, here's the
We
problem with this too. Russia always said, we'll get you from the inside. Okay. And there was always a battle of them trying to do this or us trying to do that. But now we're at a point where Donald Trump is saying to China and Russia, go ahead, do what you want. They've got no pushback at all from the United States. They've been given license to do whatever the fuck they want because Donald Trump is incompetent. So what they've been, both Russia and China and other countries want to weaken this country. And they've
Right,
been trying to do it for decades. There's no question about this. But with Donald Trump, it's going to be a fucking shooting fish in a barrel because Donald
right.
Trump's going to allow it to happen with his own ignorance.
I mean, the good thing the Russians are weak anyway. They're screwed.
Yeah, that's true.
No one
They don't
wants to
have the
deal with the
money to
Russians
do it.
anyway. Again, the Chinese are businessmen. Yeah, I know communist government, blah blah blah. They still like money, and it's about
Yeah.
that and economics and trading, and and that's the thing. You don't they this whole idea that everything can be done here in the United States is so ignorant because it's never been that way, ever, ever. You always traded. You traded. And the thing about it is, they don't get. We traded at the inception of this country. Why did this? Go back to the Civil War. How did the South get their money to keep the war going? They sold cotton to the British.
Right.
They traded cotton to the British for money and weapons. And what helped kill the South was that the Union put up a blockade against that trade. Trade money. You have to trade. You have to be part of it. You have to have a national presence in the world trading with goods and services. It's always been that way. It's just this, even the temporary 18th century thinking about tariffs didn't work. They got away from it.
Right.
Trump heard the word tariff and it makes him happy. And he keeps thinking this is going to work because countries are going to give us money and they're going to cut a deal country to country. Again, for all you dummies, trade doesn't work like that. Trade goods are produced by companies and farmers who do contracts with middlemen who sell it to other countries who are other middlemen, businessmen, not the country. And the consumers buy product based on the prices that were sold and then the markups. The US cutting a deal with China doesn't mean shit. You still have it's business to business stuff. It's all regulated by countries. They take their taxes from it, and and people get paid, and they invest in their countries, and they invest in their locals. That's the way it works. But you cut off the money, man. You cut off the trade. You cut off people's money and sales. For what? For what better? They keep telling me it's going to be better. What's better
Now, what's going to
for
happen
me?
to make it better? Whenever they say it's going to be better, what's going to happen that's different than happening now that's going to make it better? That all of a
People are
sudden they're all going to get in line and just hand us money for nothing? No, that's
right.
not going to happen.
That's what they said. Like, well, don't worry. Once the tariffs were, we won't have the internal. We'll have the external revenue service, and we won't have to pay tax. What are you talking about? It doesn't work like that. Or
No.
we have manufacturing. There'll be jobs. No, it doesn't work like that. You do not. You don't produce a plant out of thin air, and plants need raw materials to produce the product you want. And if you don't have the raw materials, you're fucked. And again, that's the frustration I have every fucking day with this because they see the cliff and they're pushing us over it.
Yeah.
And then we're going to go down. And the thing about it, too, Mike, understand, like you said, they broke the supply chain. Even if they decided to bring it back, that's another 45 to 90 days, every
Minimum.
120 days to
Yeah.
rebuild it. And that's getting, like I said, Christmas, winter. I mean, what about it's just going to get ugly? And that isn't a recession. That's a fucking depression.
But the thing about it is the Republicans love to espouse this whole trickle down theory when it comes to taxes. Okay. That doesn't work. It never has worked. It never will work. But if you like trickle down, watch what these tariffs do because that's the thing they think,
Right.
well, China will lose money, America will lose money. Yeah, but that does trickle down. Businesses go out of business. They lose money. People lose jobs. Take a look at farmers. They're going to get burned. Well, I don't care. I'm not a farmer. Okay, where are you going to get your fucking food?
Right.
It's going
And
to trickle down, and your loaf of bread that's $3 now or $5 now is going to be $10. It's going to trickle down to each and every one of us. It's going to affect us in different ways depending on how much money we have. People who have a lot of money, they'll be impacted, but they'll survive. People that have no money will be in desperation, and that's the
right.
problem.
Yeah, and desperate people, that's when it gets ugly. And also you talk to like, they keep bringing up, you know, these people in charge just don't get it. They
Yeah.
keep saying it's all, I mean, it's like, it's just insane stupidity that people keep selling. And then when you call them out on it, oh, it's all Biden's fault. How many times did I hear the word Biden this week?
Yeah.
It was amazing. The stupidity they keep selling us on Biden's economy. This isn't Biden's economy anymore because Biden's economy, I made money in my stock market, in my 401k.
Right.
Not
Yeah, I
making
did too.
money. I mean, Biden's economy meant you had manufacturing, you had building, you had things moving forward, and prices were coming under control. But because you people are a bunch of Veruca salts, I want it now. You couldn't deal with a few pennies, change, and eggs. He
You want
sold
it
you this thing.
now, but Donald Trump just told you can't get it now. You got to wait. Here's the thing:
You got to
when
wait.
I talk, when I talked to a
Right.
Trumplafuck, and they said that it's Biden's fault. I said, no, it's not. But let's just say it is. Let's say it's all Biden's fault. Donald Trump's now the president. What's he going to do to fix it? What's he doing? He hasn't passed a bill to drop prices on anything or inflation down. The GDP is going down. Okay, let's blame it on Biden. But Donald Trump is the president now. What the fuck is he doing? What is he going to do? And you know what? They can't answer that.
No, they can't because they're in a cult and
Yeah.
they're downright stupid and giving up their function to cognitive think and just let him run their life. And it's a religion because you don't speak bad of God. Um, I don't know. The near future is going to be ugly.
Yeah.
I don't know what summer is going to look like. Tourism is gone. I don't care what Trump said. Trump said, no, tourism's great. Everyone wants to come here. No, they don't. You know why they
Oh,
don't want to come here? Because they don't want to go through customs. We already know the stories. They don't
right.
want to come here. They don't want to spend their money. Um, and as for the Canadians just basically are not coming.
No,
They're not
they're.
coming to the United States. They're not here.
Well, I think they have an
And
advisory, don't they? Doesn't the
yes,
Canadian government put out an advisory? You probably don't want to go there. And there's a
yeah,
lot of
and
Canadians that come here for tourism.
not anymore. Florida, I mean, Florida is going to bite the big one soon.
Yeah.
Someone
Yeah.
was saying that, well, Florida tourism is up, California's down. That's all because of Gavin Newsom. No, assholes. It doesn't work like that.
Tourism
Florida
isn't
is
up in
going to,
Florida. I don't care what they
no, it
say. It's
isn't.
not up. They're struggling.
No, they're struggling. I mean, and the point is, it hasn't come to a head yet. And
No.
honestly, it's honestly a giant boil that's building up. And when it pops, it's ugly.
Yeah, it's
And
gonna.
I'm just trying to get out. I'm trying to get out of the splash zone. And the thing about this is frustrating because there are days I don't even want to talk about this anymore, but I
Oh, I
can't.
agree. Me too.
But I can't. I can't because I look at it and go, I mean, what, what do I mean? We have, and I'm invested in my country.
Yeah.
I'm invested in my country, and they did something stupid,
Well,
and
you're
I don't
invested.
know.
You're invested. I'm invested. If for no other reason, we have kids and grandkids. That's
Yes,
how we're invested.
and but also it's like my country has not been perfect, and that's the thing. This whole attack on history is because they want us to say America's always been perfect, that they never did anything wrong, that the civil rights movement didn't happen and slavery
Yeah.
didn't happen. I mean, that's the thing. If you criticize, you hate the country. No, criticism built the country to be better, and we were getting on that road. And then we elected someone to go backwards. Unfortunately, I really, to be honest, I knew it would be bad, but I didn't think he was going to do this.
I have to be
I
honest too.
know,
When Donald Trump got elected, I go, okay, this is going to suck. It's going to be bad for some people, but I underestimated how bad it could be and how much damage Donald Trump could do in a short period of time. I misjudged that, and that's on me. I misjudged that. I didn't think
yeah,
it would be this bad because Donald Trump can't get much done. Little did I know he would pull the Doge thing and the executive orders coming out of his ass and just creating the chaos. Whether he's actually accomplished anything that's permanent or not, I don't know. I doubt that. But the chaos and the mess that he's created is enough to put us back 30 years. That's
and
what he's
and,
done
and,
here.
and lurking in the background is Christian nationalism.
Yeah.
Because the Heritage Foundation has taken advantage of this to push their version of Christian nationalism on us. And if you want to see a big idea of that, look up the video with the Indiana lieutenant governor trying to explain that the compromise, three-fifth compromise, was a good thing for slaves because then they were counted and it was fair. Have you seen
Oh,
that?
yeah.
It is, and that guy is dressed like it was pathetic. And I'm listening to that, and someone who has done a lot of history, and those who see my videos know I will draw history. I'm not an history expert, but I read it, and I know what the three first compromise was, and that was only because they needed tax money, so they had to count slaves, but they didn't want to give it and give them one person, so we'll give you three-fifths of a person. So they could count them part of the money from federal money. And you were just sitting there thinking that, saying to all of us that it was a good thing. And this is the Christian nationalist thing, that
This was
if
the
it
thing
wasn't, yeah,
160
go ahead.
years ago, 170 years ago, and we've got somebody today in 2025 espousing that fact. That is
And
fucking
he's like,
appalling.
going, and anyone tells you different, they're just woke. Oh, I'm sorry, you're talking about every historian that ever fucking lived who
Yeah.
studied history and knows that the it's funny because my family, they went to Atlanta. There's a huge Barnes and Noble in Cobb County, really nice place. So I didn't go with them because I had to work. And they brought me back a book from Barnes and Noble from Alton Brown. You know
Hmm.
Alton Brown, it's food,
Yeah.
food, good eats, great. I mean, fun to watch. He's a
Right.
culinary expert. But he wrote a book of essays, and it was interesting to hear him. I'm reading this because, again, if you watch Good Eats, it's actually him. But he's talking about his wife talked him into doing a DNA thing, like ancestry or whatever. Who are you from? What are you? Right? And he started to speculate on it, and because he wanted to do the food of his people. But the point was, like, as he talked about it and influence in America and England and food, it all wasn't just the nation. He ended up being 80% English, and then he talked about, yeah, but English cuisine is like everything, everything they conquered, Indian, all of it came in, and the
Yeah.
same thing in the United States. I walked today. I went through to Ganaceria. I went, Mexican restaurant, a Mexican store, and to get carne asada, which I'm going to make tomorrow, which is marinated in the fridge. God, it's so good. But it has all the stuff there. The the chicharrones, they have carnitas on the weekends. The point is, that's all part of. I can go there and down this in less than two doors. There's a Caribbean restaurant.
Right.
Two doors down the road. And the point is, Project 2025's goal is to eliminate all that
Right.
because they think that we're some kind of strain of pure Europeans, but we're not. We're not. We never have been. And you can't sell me that. And you can't sell me your religion. So the bottom line, then, as we bring this to an end, is that I talk about a baseball bat, but it's not just Trump. It's that thinking that we got to take it back to. They
Right.
have taken away our melting pot. The idea that we're all parts of one, that each one of these parts is an American with a different swing and taste. Fuck, even our states are that way.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm from California, end up in Georgia. Why I'm still in America? Why did I have culture shock? Because it's different. Same thing. You've been in Georgia, you know it's different than Minnesota.
No
Hell,
question.
I went to Chicago. I'm going, yeah, this is a city, but it isn't Atlanta and it's not LA. I
Right.
mean, New York's different, Philadelphia's different. Why is it different? Because we all bring our some sort of parts into being American, and that's what made us American. And the idea that these people are Project 2025 have decided we have to be one type of American, their type of American, worship their version of God. I'll say this straight up: fuck you, and I will fight for my right to eat anything I want, believe anything I want, and talk any way I want within lawful societal rules. Because America was built like this.
Yeah.
America was built like this. And for you guys are trying to take it away because you're afraid that you're going to lose your power. Get with the program. It's
All you have to
over.
do is you go to New York and go to Little Italy and have dinner there, or you go to San Francisco and go to Chinatown. That's how different
Oh,
things are in this country, and
oh,
that's the way they should be. We all should have our own cultures, and that should be welcome to have those cultures. But there are some people, I will tell you this, we need to put down MAGA and Donald Trump. But in addition to that, we need to put down Christian nationalism. Not Christianity, Christian
no,
nationalism. That needs to be put down as
evangelicalism.
well. Right.
Yeah,
Because they aren't true
evangelicalism,
Christians.
they're not true Christians. They've given up God for power and hate.
Yep.
And I will say that to you, to every evangelical, because you worship every Sunday at the altar of power and hate, and you make women feel little, you abuse your own, you don't let them glory in what forgiveness is, and you don't want to help others because they're not like you.
Right.
That's not Jesus' teaching.
No.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're doing a little religion real quick. But that's the point. And the thing, you don't have to be a Christian to believe it. The golden rule comes from fucking Plato.
Yeah.
Okay? So the point being is what's missing now in all this MAGA, Trumpism, evangelicalism is the one thing that we all did as Americans and why we enjoy each other is empathy.
Yeah.
We care about each other and we feel about each other's pain. We want to help out. We want to make sure everything's okay. What they've turned us into is basically if Arkansas has a tornado, fuck them.
Yeah. That's
That's not
pretty
our
much it.
problem. And that's not the way it should be. It should never be that way. Our last president did not do that. Showed up in states that he wasn't welcome to help. This president doesn't give a fuck about you. Even you, MAGA, who will see this because I know you do, he doesn't care about you. He never will care about you. All he cares about is your money and your devotation to his whatever.
Well,
And that's okay. You're going to
you
get
know
out of
the
it soon.
the thing about it is if you believe what Donald Trump says, what the evangelicals say, what the Republicans and MAGA say, we should no longer be called the United States of America. We should be called the individual states of America because apparently we're on our own. For those states that are have funding, like Minnesota or California or some of those other places, that's cool. But if you're in Mississippi or in Alabama, you got some problems ahead of you. And if that's the way you want it, well, that's the way you may get it. And you won't like it when it's all said and done.
Yeah. And remember, you voted for it
Yeah,
in
you
those
voted
individual
for it.
states. You voted for that. And I'm hoping that the next 6 months of extreme pain may be the turning point. If not, there are other solutions we may have to go to. And again, no offense to my pals and friends, but don't depend on the courts. Courts ain't going to save us. In the end, it's going to be us, whether we like it or not. whether it's going to be pretty or not.
Absolutely.
Because I thought maybe someone will have some common sense, but I'm discovering these people are in, basically they're into the end. They're in for the death.
Yeah.
They're
It's a
into
fight
the
to the death,
total end of
unfortunately.
everything. Everything. They're
Yeah.
into that. And even when it falls apart on them, they'll still say they're right.
Absolutely. Well, Will, I'm going to wrap up the Rational Boomer podcast. I want to thank you for coming in. It's always a pleasure. It's always a learning experience when you come in, and I appreciate it
Thank you.
immensely. Try to stay cool, try to stay level. We
Hmm.
need level headed people to continue this fight, and
Well,
you're among them.
I work in customer service, so yeah, I'll try. They're just days. They're just days.
You know, I have had some times when I worked in customer service, but in my old age, I don't think I'd be the right guy for customer
Oh,
service. I would say
I
fuck you
sometimes
a lot.
yeah, I don't say that, but I kind of skirt the edge now of where I wouldn't say things. I would just basically say it is what it is. One guy argued me. He goes, "Are you going to do something?" I go, "Yeah, when you give me what I need." And he said, "Well, that's not nice." I go, "Give me what I need, and I'll help you out." Click, dude.
Yeah.
I'm 63. Honestly, I've heard it all. So please be nice to the next customer service. Oh yeah, by the way, if you go to a Starbucks, and I say this to all these people, tell the baristas they do a good job. And the reason I say that because going back to my job, someone worked at Starbucks, and I said that to him because I watched them on a like on a busy day. Man,
Yeah.
there's so many things that people want so many different things, and you got the orders coming in and out. And I said that to her. She goes, "Thank you, I appreciate that," because she does not hear that.
No,
So
I'm sure not.
if you go there and it takes a little longer, understand because they're trying to get your shit right. And don't be a Karen, be a nice person and say thank you and watch their faces. You'll actually feel better about it later. How's
So
that?
we'll tell folks where they can find you. They hear you here, but they can find you elsewhere on TikTok and YouTube and such.
Yeah,
So let them know where that is.
yeah. TikTok Binder 38 US. TikTok. I pushed 4,000 followers the other day, which was
Nice.
like, damn. Videos are getting more views, so that's good. I don't know how long that's going to last.
Oh,
As for YouTube, it's Binder 38 US at YouTube. That's a small, tiny little following of less than 100, but we'll see what happens.
it takes a while to build up YouTube. I'll be honest with you, but once you get started, then it
Yeah,
picks up pace and it gets
I
better.
mean,
Just all you can do is put the word out and hope somebody hears it.
yeah, but yeah, it's you'll find me there. I'll do a few lives with some of the people in the Boomer chats. But if you want to reach out, that's great. That'll be fun. Follow me there. What you see here at TikTok will be a lesser version, a little bit. As I'll stretch the edge of TikTok because honestly, there are times where I will get on there and say, well, like Matt Damon did say on The Martian when he was struggling, I'm going to say fuck you TikTok occasionally, but still follow me there because it's fun to mess with them.
I've
Okay, so
I
there
do
you
that almost daily, almost daily.
go.
But and you'll hear Will when I do lives on TikTok too. A lot of the regulars come on, Will and Old Soul and Eric and all of that. So thank you very much, Will. For those of you listening, I want to thank you for taking the time to do that. I hope you have a great day, and we will talk to you again tomorrow.